Hey, welcome back, friends. If you want to join the friends, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. So today's going to be our first boss guide. It's going to be how to kill the giant mole. If you enjoy it, go ahead and hit that like button, and I would love it if you leave a comment seeing what I can improve. So let's start out with some requirements. For the giant mole, there are no requirements. It does help if you have the hard Falador achievements unlocked. That's completely optional. It's just for an additional drop. It does give you about a 25% increase in your GP per hour. So it's definitely worth doing if you are anywhere near the hard Falador achievements. But if you don't have them unlocked, not the biggest deal. You can still kill it. So why are we killing this in the first place? Basically, it's for the pet. That's going to be the main reason why you want to be killing the giant mole. If you are on the hard mode giant mole, it will give you a 1 in 500 drop chance, as well as having a threshold of 500. So every single time you hit 500 kills, you will basically increase your chance of getting the boss pet. The additional rewards that may be worthwhile getting, they do drop a relatively rare drop for the Dragon Two-Hand Sword, and they do have two unique drops. The first one is Numbing Roots, which just basically cure you of all bleeds, and the second one is Ultra Growth Potion, which is an untradeable potion that advances a tree's farming tick up 2 ticks, so it saves you about 2 to 3 hours worth of time when farming trees. Not that many of them get dropped though, so it's kind of unrealistic to farm it out so that you can get these continuously for all your trees, but may be worthwhile doing on specific ones. Let's move right along to the equipment section. So what you're going to want to be wearing and what you're going to want to have in your inventory for the giant mole. So the giant mole is not the most profitable thing in the world, so we're going to be focusing on making sure that you keep their costs down as much as possible. I currently have the Anima Core Helm of Saren, the Body of Saren, and the Legs of Saren. Those are my 3 main armor pieces. You can obviously substitute that for any level armor that gives you a DPS boost. Subjugation is a pretty good one. If you're free to play, just use the best armor that you have. And as well as the gloves and boots. I'm actually using subjugation because they're the highest level non-degradable boots and glove spot. You want everything to be non-degradable. That way you're not cutting into your own profits. The staff, I'm currently using a Noxious staff. Obviously it is degradable, but it really helps with the DPS. So you're going to want to be using the best weapon that you possibly can. That in general, that's going to be your best bet for any kind of PVM. But the staff is really important just to get to the tier 90 or whatever your best tier that you have. I know that Chaotix is probably the best that reasonably people have, so go ahead and use a Chaotic. Noxious Staff does increase the DPS a little bit, which makes it easier to phase things before they get to the point where they're going to kind of overwhelm. So if you have it, use it. If not, oh well. The ring, I was using the Luck of the Dwarves throughout the entire 1,000 kills that I did. Go ahead and check the links down below if you want to see any kills from that, or if you want to see the loot. But the Luck of the Dwarves didn't do anything. So I actually am going to recommend using 6th Aid Circuit or any other ring that gives you a decent amount of DPS increase. I know that Broken Homes, if you do that quest and do the optional challenges, you can get the Surgeon's Ring or whatever it is. So just use your best ring that you have in slot. You don't need to have the Luck of the Dwarves. I currently have a Bone Crusher on. That's just so that the bones don't get in the way and you don't have to be constantly having big bones on the ground whenever you're grabbing all your drops. Auras, you do want to have just cost reduction auras. I use prayers throughout the method I'm going to be showing you, so I'm going to be using either the Reverence aura or the Penance aura. If you're doing easy mode, use the Reverence because you don't get damaged too much. Penance is extremely good if you are using hard mode, just because you are going to be taking a lot of damage, so you get a lot of prayer back. The last thing that I do have is the Blood Amulet of Fury here. I currently am using the Blood Amulet just because during the hard mode, you do get damaged quite a bit, so having a little bit of extra healing was extremely nice. If you're doing it on easy mode, this is unnecessary. I wouldn't recommend doing it myself. You can just tank through all the damage. If you don't have Soul Split yet, you may want to have a Blood Amulet for Fury. It does help out a lot. It does cost 10 million though, so substitute this for whatever your best amulet is. You can go ahead and either use the Dungeoneering amulet, or you could use just a regular amulet of Fury if you choose. In my inventory, obviously the Luck of the Dwarves is not necessary. I just was keeping that on there to show the rings. I do have a couple prayer flasks. That's just so that I can rejuvenate my prayer, because I do use prayer in my method. If you're not using prayer and you're just using food instead, you don't need these prayer flasks. Just bring some sharks or something along with you. I do bring the Enhanced Excalibur with me. It's just an extra little buff to healing. Extremely good during hard mode kills, because sometimes you get kind of comboed out and it's better to have something to kind of heal you up a little bit. Alternatively, you could just bring a couple of sharks just to make sure you don't die. And then I am going to be bringing a couple of runes. I'm currently using the Fire Surge spell, so just bring whatever runes you need for whatever spell you're going to be using. Without further ado, let's go on and get to how to kill this boss though. Okay, so the giant mole comes in 6 different phases. The first phase, he's going to be in the middle here, and then phase 2 through 5 he will be in one of each of these chambers, and on the 6th phase he is back into the middle. So the first phase, he doesn't really have any special abilities. I do want to mention I'm going to be doing this on hard mode and just describing the differences with regular mode. So one mechanic in the middle phase, if you do choose to safe spot him at any point in time, this is throughout the entire kill, he can rumble the ground underneath you and it will do 4,000 damage, or 400 damage to you 5 times. So you're going to want to make sure you're not safe spotting him. You get dealt a lot more damage if you choose to safe spot him than if you don't. So go ahead and let him attack you, but all in all, just very easy DPS him down. So the giant mole can go to any of the 4 chambers in any order that he'd like. Just for the sake of this video, to keep it continuous, I'm just going to start at the top right chamber and move my way clockwise. So this first chamber is going to be a relatively easy one. Basically, he has the ability to block stuns most of the time. Whenever he uses the special ability for this chamber, he makes himself stunnable, but he also goes into like a berserk mode where he does a lot more damage and he attacks at double the speed. So all you have to do is either stun him. This is one of the reasons why we're using mage. You're going to want to use Asphyxiate. It stuns it for the majority of that, and then you can use the Deep Impact, and you will stun him for the entire time that he's actually in the Berserker mode. Alternatively, you can just step away from him. This is debatably the better option, just because you don't have to have the stuns up, and you can use Asphyxiate whenever you want. You don't have to wait for a special ability, so let's go ahead and attack him, and I will show you that special ability really quick. All you have to do is just kind of wait for him to be stunned. So now he's stunnable, and as you can see, I got dealt quite a bit of damage, and he's attacking at double the rate he usually attacks at. I'm gonna have to eat food quite a bit. So he deals a lot of damage in this, and then when he regains, or she regains her balance, that's when no longer using that ability. Obviously you can kind of flinch her a little bit. You step away, and then every once in a while you let her attack you once so that she doesn't use the Rumble Earth. I did it a little bit too slowly. You kind of get the feel of exactly when you have to do this, but it makes it so that she doesn't attack you almost at all, and kind of negates a little bit of the Berserker ability. You can also use this throughout the entire phase of this area, just to make sure that she doesn't use her stun ability at all. But as you can see here, you can just kill her pretty easily as long as you're doing a little bit of DPS to her. The second chamber is going to have a mechanic where mud can fall from the sky. This only happens if he is actually attacking you, so it may be worthwhile to actually safe spot this. You hear something crumbling from the ground, and then you get trapped by mud. If you get trapped by mud, he will damage you for 2,500. So keep that in mind when he is going to be trapping you in the mud. You get a pretty high damage whenever he actually attacks you for the first time after mud. So you'll see I get damage a little bit over time, and then when he actually attacks me, I get over 2,000 damage. So it's a very damaging spell. You can completely avoid this by just safe spotting him in a particular way. Basically, you want to let him attack you every once in a while to avoid this little special. Just every 3 abilities, just let him attack you once, and the only times that he could possibly have this spawn is occasionally when he actually attacks you. If you let him attack you constantly, he will constantly be using that ability. So just let him hit you once every once in a while. See, there he used that ability instead of attacking me. If you are using the safe spot method here, you don't actually take that 2.5 thousand damage though, so it's very nice. I would recommend everybody using this. It's a nice little way of getting around his mechanic. In the third chamber, he only has one special ability. Basically, whenever he digs into the ground, he's going to pop up and have some rumbled earth around him. So as soon as he digs into the ground, you're going to want to move away from that rumbled earth. That is the only thing that you have to do. One way of getting around it that I really like is just stand on this spot right here, and as soon as he does the rumbled earth, he actually can't go into this little section. So he will only dig down once, and he won't be doing the damage multiple times to you. So as long as you stand here, you don't really have to worry about this special mechanic at all. You can also do this over on the other side right here. I'll show you another spot that you can do this at. Basically, you want him to be able to attack you, but you don't want him to be able to go one slot further and actually dig down. Actually, at this spot, he needs 5 by 5 spot to actually dig down. He shouldn't dig down at all as long as you're right here. It looks like he can actually go right there, so you just step back 1 slot, and then you want to step forward again, because otherwise he might actually do some rumbled earth just on his own. Very easy section though. This is one of the ways, or one of the places that you can actually build up some adrenaline if you really want to. The last different chamber he can go into is very easy. Basically, he just spawns a couple of mobs, and you could just DPS him down through this. As you can see, there are a couple moles here. If you have the Corruption Blast ability, it is extremely good because it just killed all the moles right there. There is a little bit of a buff to his health. I believe it does give him damage reduction, and I believe he actually does increase his damage a little bit by how many moles there are. So if you let the moles constantly stack up on you, obviously the moles themselves will be doing a lot of damage, and the giant mole will also be taking less damage. The final chamber is going to be a little bit different because she can use any of the 4 special attacks she had before. So as you can see, now she can be stunned. There's a couple of really bad combos that she can do. I'll explain those later on. But basically you're going to want to be standing in one of these spots here and just kind of flinching her like we did with a couple of the other different sections. That way she doesn't use too many special abilities, and it also negates the possibility of her specking you out really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and kill her a little bit. Another option is just to let her attack you as much as you want, and just whenever she uses a special ability that you don't like, you're going to want to go into this area and wait it out, basically. Got pretty lucky here, and she didn't really do any special abilities. But all in all, this is going to be the best way of killing her. Obviously, a couple of tips and tricks. These baby moles will stall your adrenaline for you, so it's kind of useful when you're running between chambers. They'll attack you occasionally. Also, you can build adrenaline off of them, usually, if I don't screw it up. As you can see, my adrenaline is going up. If you need to get up to full adrenaline before attacking a certain phase or something like that, then it's a decent way of getting your adrenaline back up, and they do respawn. It is going to slow down your kills a little bit, so I don't recommend using it every single time, but it is a good way of stalling your adrenaline as well as building adrenaline if you need to. I would recommend trying to quick kill as many of these chambers as possible. Just gets around the entire mechanics of each chamber. So if you use a threshold, most of the time it actually is enough with tier 90 to just immediately phase them. But all in all, not too hard of a boss. The only thing you're really going to watch out for is on this final phase. There is a way that she can damage you 9,000 HP in just a combination of the specials. So if she uses the mud falling from the sky special immediately into the diving into the ground special, she will deal you 5 ticks of 400 about to 600 damage from the mud falling on you, and then both of the dives will both create rumbled earth of their own, which will result into 4,000 damage in hard mode. So right there, it's already 6,000 damage, and then when she actually hits you for the first time with her claw, that is going to be another 2,500 damage. So you're looking at like 8,000 to 9,000 damage if she happens to get really unlucky. I've actually died twice to this combination, so be careful as long as you are using the little safe spot method and make sure that you can't get into the rumbled earth. Then you shouldn't have to worry about this, but just be careful if you are trying to kill her in the middle of the section, which isn't the best idea to start out with. You're going to want to be careful about her using that combination. If you can, try to surge away or do whatever you can. Talking about surge, it's a really effective way of getting from chamber to chamber. So let's say if you need to go from the first chamber to the fourth chamber, go ahead and just surge across this area, and it actually saves you about 3 seconds every single time you do a surge. If you have the mobile perk, you can use it every 10 seconds. Regularly, you can use it every 20 seconds. All in all, hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide. It helps you out kill the giant mole, get your boss drops or the boss pet drop, or any other drops that you're looking forward to from the giant mole. And as always, have a good one.